you are into movies and movie-related discussions, you have come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am The Wiz, and I'm with my friend today.
Zero.
Zero, how are you doing today?
A bit exhausted, but I'm ready to rock and roll on this.
Yeah, you know, movies like this tend to exhaust people when it comes to like the themes and the seriousness that is being dealt with, and I'm just glad you came out in one piece.
Yeah, this one was an interesting one, that's for sure.
Okay. We are here to review the 2022 biopic satire, Weird, the Al Yankovic Story, starring Daniel Radcliffe, Evan Rachel Wood, and Rainn Wilson, directed by Eric Appel. I don't know if you remember, we actually spoke about the trailer when it came out first, I think about 8 months ago, when we were still doing the movie podcast around that time. And yeah. I don't know if you remember the trailer, but I remember distinctly how I felt about it after I watched it. And the feeling I had of it was either it's going to be god-awful because it's clear that Daniel Radcliffe is not taking any effort to sound or act like Weird Al, or they're going to go really meta and very strange with it, and the joke will be the fact that Daniel Radcliffe is not trying, and that's part of the funniness of it. Just saying that neither of that is true in this movie. I'm just coming off disappointed mostly throughout the film. I came away with it saying that there's a couple of laughs here and there, but for the most part, I thought this was going to be a lot different than what it was. And then they made decisions in this movie that I just don't think fit well. It
was kind of weird because, like, this one is just all over the place. Like, it starts off kind of serious, and then you've got like some comedy bits, and then you've got like action movie bits. Yeah. It's just such a scatterbrained movie, but at the same time, it's just a silly ride all the way through. The end part was just really weird.
Yeah. And, you know, people will point out, well, it's called Weird. What do you expect? But the thing is, I wasn't expecting this to be a straight biopic. I was prepared for it to go into different directions. The issue that I have with this is that I think the direction that they went through in this, I don't think works. This reminded me of the time when my friends and I would talk about movies and be like, hey, wouldn't it be weird if someone did this in a movie and did that in a movie? We should write that. And go, oh, yeah, bro, we should write that. And we never would write it. And the reason why is it would take a day or so of looking at the notes that we come up with and go, that's fucking stupid. Why would we ever do this? Let's just toss this in the garbage. And it just seems like in this aspect, the director of the film and Weird Al Yankovic, who also wrote the film, it just sounds like to me they got drunk one night and they said, you know, it'd be funny if we made a movie about your life, but instead we did this. And he was like, yeah, man, that'll be pretty funny. And they were serious about it, and no one had the foresight to go, you know, some of this doesn't really work. Maybe we should change it. Nah, bro, we gotta go full steam ahead. It's like, okay. I don't know how positive you are about this film, but I came into it and started watching it thinking, this isn't bad, but it could have been a lot better. But by the end, I was like, yeah, this was a missed opportunity. This is not as good as it should have been, at least.
I mean, as I said, I thought it was fun, but in some ways, I wish that it was refined a little bit more. And I agree with you. There are just a bunch of missed opportunities, just great ways to do things, and it was just like, wow, y'all didn't take it, man, this would have been a great way to pivot things, and it's just like, nope. And yeah, it just, some moments had me scratching my head going, why didn't you go with like a different gag or a different bit? Just, there's kind of like better avenues that you could have taken, but you kind of took this one, and it's not a terrible way to go, but I think that there could have been possibly more mileage if they took it another direction.
I was kind of disappointed with how, like, the whole joke of the film really is how Weird Al in the film found the inspiration for his songs. And the joke was the same every single time. And it's the joke of, it just so happened. So like for My Bologna, it just so happens while listening to My Sharona that he was making a bologna sandwich. Oh my God, inspiration. And at first I was like, okay, that's kind of cute. I was like, that's kind of silly. But then I was expecting, oh, okay, so they'll come up with something better. And then, you know, Beat It or Eat It was another one where they said the same thing. And then, or they did the same joke. Or Like a Surgeon, same thing. Amish Paradise, like the same thing. I was just trying to see where the creativity was coming here, because As much as Weird Al is a novelty act, he is quite smart with what he does. And you have to be smart to do these parodies without going into vulgarity, which he never does in his songs. So I was expecting this to be a much more intelligent and much more thought out movie than it was, but it just turned into just like a silly kind of satire that kind of aped more of the Naked Gun and Airplane more than anything else. And I was expecting something much more creative than this. And the creative flourishes that they went with just didn't work at all in this. Like, the film goes from like a standard tropish kind of satire of biopics. I think Walk Hard did a lot better with. Then took a sharp left turn at one point, and we'll get into why and what that is. So did you find yourself like enjoying the film, laughing at it? Mostly because I gotta tell you, after about maybe 20 to 30 minutes, I kind of stopped laughing after a certain point.
Yeah, unfortunately, it started off pretty strong. Like I had a few good moments where I was like, all right, that's pretty damn funny. And then like, I think it was probably right around the 20 or 30 minute mark that it was just like, this joke again. Okay, this is how he got the inspiration for this song. Oh, God, I get it. It's kind of the path of least resistance, but
yeah,
this could have been funnier. This could have taken another road to this.
No, I agree. I was kind of disappointed after that. But like I said, I think the first 30 minutes when they did that joke, it was kind of funny. And the second half is where I think everything fell apart. So, okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk spoilers right now. Okay, so if you want to stop and come back, go right ahead. After this point, we're doing spoilers, because I think to get into my biggest problem with the movie, I need to spoil it. So here we go. So the second half of the film, they introduce Madonna, played by Evan Rachel Wood. And Evan Rachel Wood does a pretty good job as Madonna to a certain extent. Like, it's definitely character-ish. I was kind of for it, because I was like, oh, they're going in a different direction. But then it just went into a direction that I think did not work with the rest of the film. To me, the film feels like that the first 40 minutes was like an hour-long Funny or Die sketch where they had a great idea and they're like, oh man, and we'll get all these people involved, and this and that, and yada yada. And then somebody said, why aren't we just making this into a movie? And then at that point, someone's like, oh yeah, we probably should. And then after that, it was just... They just added this hour-long subplot of Madonna dating Weird Al, which, of course, never happened. It just didn't feel great with the rest of the movie. It actually felt, like, really off. I'm going to say I didn't laugh once during that segment, from the point where she was introduced until the very end of the film. I didn't laugh once. I just sat there going, what? What are they doing? Why? Why are they going this route? That was my reaction to a lot of Madonna stuff. Even though I actually liked Evan Rachel Wood in the character, I just didn't think it didn't work at all.
When they got into the whole Madonna thing, I was just like, okay, I see where you're going. And then it tries to go into like a deep tangent, but also trying to be funny, and it sort of drops the ball on both.
Like, I think they're trying to spoof off of, like, standard tropish biopic stuff where the main character, or just in movies of that type where the main character gets this bombshell of a girlfriend and he starts losing his way, and it just so happens to be Madonna in this case, which adds, I guess, a little more of a cultural cachet because it was set in the 80s. And I just sat there watching this going, why exactly are you going down this route? And then they go into this whole other tangent with Pablo Escobar, which, again, hearing us talk about it on the onset might sound like, oh, that sounds fucking hilarious. And honestly, it could have been, but it doesn't work. It just feels like they are treading water throughout. They're just taking, I hate to say this, but they're just taking the lazy conclusion after each one. Weird Al breaks up with his band, but he's with Madonna. Then Madonna gets captured by Pablo Escobar's crew. And I'm like, okay, what else? Like this is all like stereotypical tropish BS that even if you're doing it for like yucks and like satirical funny business, it's not working. Like at that point, I kind of checked out of the entire film.
So once you got into the Pablo Escobar stuff, getting really, really heavily involved into the plot, it was just like, okay, now this is starting to get real jumbled up, and maybe go into a different direction with the Madonna thing. Maybe, you know, just have her being like the insidious succubus that just completely destroys his career or something, you know. Maybe you could have gone that path, but to me, once they added the whole kidnapping plot thing, it was just like, I see what you guys are trying to do. It's ambitious, but it's not working. It's got some interesting ideas, but it just can't bring it all home.
See, I wouldn't even call it ambitious. I think it was, like I said in the beginning, I think it was just a bunch of two guys that were just sitting there going, wouldn't it be funny if? And then instead of fashioning it into something creative, they just shat it out and just said, okay, that's it. That's good enough. Let's go. I think it would have been a lot clever if they were to go this route, but still marry the history of Weird Al and Madonna and other people to where it looks like it could happen, but it really did not. But it's creative enough to where it would seem pretty clever in a certain circumstance. That's where I thought they were going, but they just went down this other road that I just think didn't work. And then at the end of the film, where Weird Al gets shot in the chest after peeing himself on the stage, which could have been a funny gag if I just was just not interested in it anymore. But yeah. I just was like, man, that could have been funny, but it didn't really work. I kind of want to say also that the cheapness of the movie kind of hurts a little bit. This film definitely feels like, I would say, a well-produced YouTube video. I mean, the film is filled with cameos, which are kind of funny. Conan O'Brien as Andy Warhol. I mean, I thought that was, well, now that I'm thinking about it, it was kind of funny realizing that it was Conan O'Brien, but the actual scene wasn't that funny. This is kind of a waste, to be absolutely honest. Like, I came out of this going, what was the point? Like, why? Why even do this?
And then, of course, you had the funny reoccurring gag that one of the record execs is actually Weird Al Yankovic himself.
Yeah.
And it was just like, these bits could have been written so much better, and Weird Al, it can be hilarious as shit, and he's just so underutilized. God, why?
I wanted this movie to be a lot different than what it was, and I think that's where my biggest disappointment lies, because if this movie was a little more creative and decided to go in a very different direction, I might have excused it not being that funny if it were just a lot more creative in that sense. But since they went the lazy route on a lot of the decisions they made, and the film isn't funny on top, I just came out of this going, well, that's a major disappointment. When I saw the trailer, I had hopes that they were doing something different, but I guess after about 30 minutes of the film, I was like, yeah, I guess not. I guess that's not how it's going to be. Like, there's really three main performances. It's Daniel Radcliffe as Weird Al, Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna, and Rainn Wilson as Dr. Demento. I liked Evan Rachel Wood. I thought she was good. Rainn Wilson's fine. That's an okay performance. And I'm kind of mixed on Daniel Radcliffe, only because, like, he clearly didn't try to be or act it or emulate Weird Al. And I thought in the beginning that was going to be the joke, but it really wasn't. It just came off as, I'm Daniel Radcliffe and I just so happen to play Weird Al.
Yeah, and I can definitely see why someone would think that as well, too. Rainn Wilson wasn't bad, but wasn't exactly exceptional either. Evan Rachel Wood kind of played like this trashy succubus of Madonna. I didn't really think it was like the most exceptional thing. And Daniel Radcliffe actually kind of shocked me, because I was just like, yeah, I know he's gotten the poor stigma that everyone knows him as Harry Potter, but it seems like he's having a bit of fun with the role. He's not nailing Weird Al 100%, but it looks like he's having fun with the role overall. Yeah. Thought he was all right.
Yeah, I mean, he is having fun. That is true. I was hoping that the joke would be at some certain point that he's just not trying at all, and that's kind of the in joke throughout the entire film, but they just kind of gloss over it and go, oh, whatever, that's Weird Al. I'm like, yeah, okay. Fine. It's kind of like, I'll put it this way. It would be like if Jamie Foxx played Ray Charles sounding like Jamie Foxx. That's how the performance is. And when you put that in perspective, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, that kind of sucks. Then that makes it even weirder when you see Weird Al in the movie sounding like Weird Al. And so it just was like, I'm not saying that Daniel Radcliffe was bad. I mean, he's funny. He's a pretty good comedic actor. I mean, he's done some comedies. He did a movie called Swiss Army Man, which was actually not bad, that he was pretty good in. But this could have been a lot better, and I think that's where I'm kind of laying down here, is that I'm very disappointed and it could have been a lot better. Final thoughts. Like I said, I am pretty disappointed with the movie. I was hoping this was going to be a lot more creative of a movie, even if they were going to do a straight biopic, which I really was not expecting. I thought they would go into different directions, especially with how funny Weird Al is in his song. And they just didn't go there at all. They just turned it into a standard biopic parody, which then went into a different direction the second half of the movie, which just did not work. I think Daniel Radcliffe's okay. I think Evan Rachel Wood is pretty good, but other than that, I was more disappointed by this movie than anything else. I'm going to give it 1 star out of 5. I just ended up disappointed and not laughing as much as I thought I would. 1 star out of 5 for me for Weird, the Al Yankovic movie.
I'm probably going to be the contrarian one because it'll probably seem like I'm positive about this, but I think for me it's just more wasted potential that could have been better.
Yeah.
I want to say probably like a 45% for me. It starts off all right, and then they just kind of use the tired old joke on how he just finds inspiration for a song over and over again. It's just like, you guys could have taken different avenues to elaborate on why he found inspiration to do a song, and you guys just simply didn't take it. And then you get to the whole Madonna subplot with a Pablo Escobar being thrown into it, and it just kind of muddies up the movie and just kind of strays it off the path. And it's just like, guys, I get it. You wanted to try to do more, but this was kind of a slapshot way of doing it. Again, so much wasted potential, and especially from the fact that, I mean, yeah, I get it. This is supposed to be a highly satirical biopic, but I just felt that, you know, they could have gone with more fun ways to do things, and they just didn't. It was just like, hey, what's the easiest way we can do this? Hey, we've got an idea, and then just rolling with that for the entire movie, which hurts because Weird Al is fucking hilarious, and it's just like so much wasted potential. It could have gone further.
I think the main issue coming off of this is that I don't think the filmmakers didn't know exactly what they're satirizing. Are they satirizing Weird Al's life? Are they satirizing biopics as a whole? Are they satirizing certain elements of movies that do this type of story? I don't think they had a clear direction as to what exactly it is they're satirizing, and I think that really hurt the film. Because if they would have stuck to one direction and said, we're doing this, I think they would have had a much more cohesive film. But since they went all over the place and tried to do so many things at the same time, they really did nothing right. And I think that hurts the film more than anything else. I come off this film basically saying, did we really need a biopic about Weird Al? And I think beforehand I would have said, yeah, why not? Now I'm like, yeah, probably not. Probably not at this point. So yeah, we both have below average scores, which, okay, I mean, you're being nicer, which is, you're right, you can do that. I'm just a mean person, and I like to put things down. So that's just my... you're too much of a happy person, Zero. So get negative like I do.
I can't let the hate flow. It's just not in my nature.
Yes. Okay, so 1 star out of 5 for me, and 45% for you, Zero?
Yes.
So 45% for Zero. Avoid the movie, I would say. I think we're both saying that, correct?
Yeah, especially because there were just so many opportunities that could have been better. I mean, if it was a better movie, I'd probably be singing the praises going, hey, do you like Weird Al? How about a movie that's just pure Weird Al weirdness, just like straight up? Then at that point, yeah, I would have been recommending this like completely crazy, but it just drops it so hard.
Yeah. Watch UHF instead. It's basically, I think, what we're saying.